Hi, this is Pavel with the C++ exercise. I was asked to write a program that asks the user to enter an integer n and then compute the fn as the following formula. And we are given the first element, which equals 3. So we will be using an array, and the element 0 of that array equals 3, and we will be calculating the remaining values, as many as the user enters. Like, let's say the user enters 5, then this will be the output. And it's calculated with this formula, and basically what it means is so the element 0 equals 3. So now when I plug it into the formula, 0.75, 3 quarters, times 3, which is the fn, is actually the value of the previous element. In our case, this is the first one, so that's the one we're using. So times 3 equals 225 plus 4 equals 625. So our next element, n plus 1, so this one's 0, so the next one will be 1, so the element 1 will equal 625. When I plug 625 into the formula, I will calculate the next element, element 2. So if I now multiply it times 0.75 and plus 4, I get the value of the next element. And again, if I multiply that times 0.75 and add 4, I get the next element, and so forth. So again, if the user enters 5, we will calculate 5 following elements after the 0. In other words, together it's going to be 6 elements. And we will calculate the value of each element based on the value of the previous element, which is the fn, plugged into this formula. Okay, so let's get started. So first thing I need some kind of a counter. So what a better name than counter. And I'll initialize it to 0. And I can get the counters right away from the user. I will simply ask cout, please enter the nth element, or what I want it doesn't really matter, nth element. So this is the output, so nth term, sorry, it's the same thing, doesn't matter. So term. So now we ask the user, and now we will get the input, so, and place it into our counter. So this now holds as many numbers as the user wants to calculate in the array. Now we can actually declare the array as well, because now we know how many elements the array will have. So I can do my it's going to be a float, and it has to be a float because if you look at the formula, we get decimal places, so you cannot do it with integers, obviously. So over here I'll do a float, and I'll call it my array, and the number of elements in that array will be counter minus 1, of course. So this will now give us an array of it, like it's, again, if the user enters 5, it gives us the array with elements with 5 elements in it from 0 to 4. Okay, so now we can do the loop and loop through the array and perform the calculation. So it's going to be simply if I equals and actually, you know what, never mind that yet. First we need to do remember, this is the first element, or element 0 is given, it's equals to 3. So we will simply, after we declare the array, we will assign my array the element 0. We'll simply assign it a value of 3. Okay, so now we'll do the loop for integer I equals We don't start from 0 because again this is element 0, so we'll start from the next one, which is 1, obviously. And I is less or equal to the counter, because that's how many numbers the user wants. And of course I plus plus. So this is our main loop, and in the loop we can perform the calculation. So I will just copy paste this. This is the formula. I don't know if you can see that, but basically I will calculate. I have a 0, so now I'm calculating element 1, so the I will be the index of each element that I calculate. So it's going to be my array I, which will be changed with each iteration. It starts with 1, then it will be 2, then 3, and so forth. So this element I equals, and it's it says 3/4 times, and now what does it equal? It equals the previous value in the array. In this case it would be 3. In the next case it would be 625. In the next case 869, and so forth. So the previous value of the array is simply my array I minus 1. That's the one before this one. All right, so n plus 4. That's our formula. To calculate the value of the element, we do 3 divided by 4 multiplied by the previous value of the array, which is my array I minus 1, and plus 4. That's just the formula they gave us to work with. And that's all. That will calculate the array and add the values into the array. Now we could output it right here. We could do, you know, a cout and output the value of it, but I'm going to do it a little differently. With this loop I'm going to populate the array with the values, and with the next loop I'm going to output them. So I could go for integer I equals 0. Of course I is less than whatever the counter was, but it would be counter like that, and I plus plus. And now I'm going to simply output cout, and the way they want us to output the output is f of the element equals and the value. So that equals f, that's the of element of I. All right, so it's going to be f. In fact, you can put it in parentheses like they have it, fi, and then close the parentheses like that, and equals, and over here we will simply output the element. So it's going to be my array of I, and that will loop through each element in the array and output the values. Now over here we have a node, print only 2 numbers after the point. So in other words, we have to make sure that only 2 decimals are printed. So in order for us to do that, I will use the set precision with 2 decimal points, and it's fixed. Now in order for us to use set precision, I have to go and include the library, the IO manip library, to be able to use these this formatting. Oh, and at the end we'll move to a next line, so end of line. So let me see. So we got the counter. The user enters the counter. Let's say he enters 5. So over here we loop through that. Let me see what's what is working and what's not. Okay, so right here I have it. Of course. Never mind me. Okay, so let's try again. Alright, so I enter 5 and we got 5 elements, but obviously the values are wrong since they are 3 and 4 and so forth, which clearly indicates that the calculation is not performed as a float, which is an easy fix. When it says 3 divided by 4, I'll do 3.0 f to indicate that it's a float. And let me run it again. I'll do 5, and now we have these. But one thing I have to realize here, this is over here it has to be equal to counter as well, because let me test that quickly. Yeah, because remember, the user enters let's say 5, but the first one is already given with calculating the 5 after 0. All right, the 0 is given. We actually technically start counting from 1, but the array of course is filled from 0, so that's why we have to have an additional iteration of the loop to do all the numbers. Okay, so let's run with more numbers. Let's say 10, and we have 0 to 10. Okay, so let's compare the values. Okay, so the first one is 3, that was given. That's 625, 869, 1052, 1189, and 1292. So yeah, it seems to be working fine, and that's all there is to it. You get the counter that the user will enter how many numbers after 0. Basically we start from 1. They want us to calculate. We are given the first element, which is 3, and then we will calculate the value of the next element using the formula. Now again, this as the loop iterates, I changes. Obviously it starts with 1, so that's element 1, then it will be 2, element 2 will equal the whatever the result of the formula, and so forth. Over here we use a float to make sure that the result is stored as a float, not an integer, because 3 divided by 4 would give us a 0.75, but without being in the float, it would simply calculate as 0, and 0 times this would be 0, and that's why every other all the numbers equaled 4, because it was like 0 plus 4. It disregarded the decimals. It rounded it basically to 0. All right, so over here we get the previous element, because that's what is used in the formula. And then once the array is populated, we go and print, we loop through another array. We loop through the array of the values and output each value with a set precision to 2 to make output with 2 decimal places. So this is the whole program. Again, we have to import the IOmanip library, because we are using the set precision and fixed. So there you have it. Not very difficult. Hope it helps you, and I will see you next time. Take care.